One. Hey, everybody, we are back.
Yes.
Yes, Global Party 2017, Healing from the Inside Out. And I am joined right now by Renette Nell from Cape Town, South Africa. And
hi.
She is going to be talking to us today about the structure for health. And you are going to be, I'm sure, quite enlightened by this process and the journey that she's had. As I have asked everybody about a song that inspires or brings some peace to regroup, Renette had shared that Beethoven's Ode to Joy. So we're just going to play a few bars just to bring presence before we start this lovely transformational journey on the structure of health. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so why don't we go back to how you actually embarked on this journey to know that there is a structure for health and how you're helping others put that in place in their life so they can be healed from the inside out.
Okay, thank you, Jacqueline. And I just love that Ode to Joy, especially when it's the full choral rendition as well, because joy is really our natural state. The more joyful you are, the better your body responds and the greater your healing. So thank you for playing that little bit. And yeah, it's quite a mouthful. Where my journey started was literally from when I was very small.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the simplest would be so people can have the most benefit from actually knowing about the structure for health, is to just invite everybody to just become for the moment present to themselves, to still their thoughts, like you would let the birds settle in a tree. Just let them be and bring your focus to your heart center. And realize that in your heart, it's the meeting point for the two forces in your life. The force of spirit, your soul that had a purpose to be born and that knows how to heal and to have a healthy life, and your matter, your body, your earth. You're connected to the earth and to your spirit, and the meeting, the alchemy takes place in your heart. And this is really the basis for where we are, actually what paradigm we're going to be working in, living in. Health, I grew up knowing that the body is a self-healing mechanism, that it can heal miraculously or instantaneously. My mother was a healer, and she had the ability with her hands and her breath to heal people. And I watched her once. There was somebody who came visiting. I was about 5. Mm-hmm. We lived on a farm north of Lusaka, and they came visiting, and he could not get his arthritic hands off the steering wheel. Mm-hmm. And we children were all shooed away, but you know how you peek around the side and looking.
Yes.
And she just stood there. All we could see was that she had her hands at the back of his neck, and I don't know what she was doing with her other hand, because from the angle I was at. And after a period of time, the man climbed out of the car and his hands were fine. And for many, many years afterwards, when they came and visited, it was like one of the miracle stories that stayed in our family, mm-hmm. of that instantaneous healing that my mother did with this man who literally couldn't unclasp the steering wheel or climb out of the car. So I know the body can heal itself.
Yes.
And I have grown up knowing that. And that is the structure that I live and breathe and am in for health. So the focus is health. The other structure, which most of our society is finding themselves in, is an oscillating, a conflicting structure where you are afraid you will lose your health.
Yeah.
So the paradigm there is that sickness is out to get you.
Right.
And it's going to happen. So you've got to just protect yourself. Have the flu injection. I'm not knocking, please just be sure, I'm not knocking what people are believing or people's paradigms. I'm speaking from myself and from experience of helping my clients and helping my family overcome healing situations and overcoming my own health scenarios. So I'm not anti anybody here. Let's just be clear there. But the general paradigm, the structure for most people is that the structure has to do with how the energy is moving. How the energy is flowing through a house is determined by the structure of the house. Where the front door is, where the back door is, where the bedrooms are, that determines how the energy flows through the house. In exactly that same way, our energy, our chi, our life force to ourselves flows according to the structure of where our focus is, where we are aligning ourselves to. So if we're aligning ourselves to disease, then we're in a structure or a paradigm where the energy cannot resolve in favor of healing. It will resolve in favor of sometimes healing, sometimes sick, sometimes healing, sometimes sick, because that is not a flow which ultimately will give you healing. I don't know if I'm making sense here. I'm suddenly wondering.
I will paraphrase and see if this is so. Basically, it's a choice. You're either choosing to believe that healing is of a natural order, and in a sense that you're plugging into that and you're looking at everything that happens. So when you start sneezing, I look at that as releasing. I'm yawning, I'm releasing. Everything is releasing, I'm getting rid of, because I'm staying in that vibration of being healthy. Where most people have been raised in the opposite realm, which is when you're saying avoid getting sick. So when they start to sneeze, they go, oh, I got to take something to fix it. This is what's happening. I got to take something to avoid it. And hence their own body isn't able to be in natural alignment. I totally resonate with everything that you share, because when my kids were raised alternatively, and when I did counseling, like phone counseling sort of thing for people about vaccines, I would say there's no right answer. It's a personal choice based on your life and what you are choosing to do, because you have to be comfortable one way or the other what the consequences are, right? So it's choosing the door. Are you choosing healing and are prepared to walk down there, or are you choosing avoidance? It's a whole other ballgame, right?
Yeah. No, thank you. You've paraphrased it very nicely. So yes, and generally what we are experiencing is that you're either trying to fix what you think is wrong by having the vaccinations, having the injections, having the various proactive things to avoid this unknown attack from out there.
Right.
Or you are knowing that you are a holistic being and that your health is a natural thing and that everything that you need, you have. When we are born as a tiny little baby, we have everything we need to live an amazing life. Right there. There's nothing, and we never lose that. We acquire possessions, we acquire family, we acquire things, but that essence of ourselves that was there and complete at birth, that's us. That stays with us. It doesn't go away. That is your life force.
Yes.
And that life force can create your health over and over and over again. And in our own family, I've helped my husband literally reclaim his health from Parkinson's disease. He'd become really badly debilitated after he'd been attacked, and at one point couldn't get up out of a chair anymore or walk uphill. That's out of a chair unaided, or walk uphill. And in May 2010, he decided he's not living like this. He's going to take his life back. And we started a program. I mentored him. I work as a mentor and coach. And I guided him, but his will to take his life back was the prime mover. That's that choice. That's the paradigm he changed from being a victim, and he's been had by the disease
Yep.
to becoming the predominant creative force in his life and choosing health. And yes, he still has Parkinson's disease, but what that man did was 9 months after he couldn't walk uphill anymore, he hiked 33 kilometers of the Otaniqua Mountains, which is the mountain range out near Neisner, where we lived at the time. That's a town that's just recently been in the news with really, really bad burning that happened to them. So there's a lot of healing needed for the people in that town. But Johan hiked 33 kilometers, carrying 16 kilograms on the first day, and that first day of the hike included going down a ravine, crossing a river that was in flood, the Neisner River, using a rope. We actually did it standing on people's shoulders. The guys, the strong men in the group stood in the water up to here so that Johan and I could step over on their shoulders and on the rocks. And then we climbed some ladders on the other side, and there was a tiny bit of abseiling. And he did all of that.
Amazing.
9 months, yeah, but 9 months after he couldn't get up unaided or out of a chair or walk uphill near our house. He also decided he's working again as an engineer, and 18 months later he started working in Johannesburg for a mining company as project engineer. And so though he still has Parkinson's disease, he's not debilitated by it. To the degree that he was before. He's not living his life anymore as this is out there and he's got to protect. He's living his life as, okay, so this has happened. I'm still here. That one that was born, that is life force, that is still there. So that's one person in my family. The other was our son recently. This year, from February, was in hospital for 52 days. And again, our approach was holistic. So it's not just my counseling, which was also there, and some other counseling from an integrative medical practitioner as well, and food and nutrition and all of that. The structure becomes his body can heal.
Yes.
Whereas his medical one specialist structure was, we've got to protect against this disease that's invaded the body.
Right.
And our approach as a family was, how can we support our son to be able to support his body so that his body can heal, that his immune system can repair itself. He ended up having open heart surgery, and his specialist had wanted his mitral valve replaced, and we all wanted his body's own mitral valve to be able to be repaired. And that is what happened. It was possible for them, to repair that mitral valve. And the impact is that he does not need to stay on blood thinners for the rest of his life, which is what it would have been if they'd replaced the mitral valve. So healing is possible, but we need to give our body what it needs in order to heal. And how we approach our health depends on the structure in which we are living, moving, having our being. Whether we're thinking, wow, this is an amazing body, and we have all we need to heal it and keep it healthy, or we are thinking, oh my gosh, I'd better watch out. This can happen and that can happen. Ooh, did you hear this? And so on.
Well, I actually was gifted in 1991 when I was traveling Eastern Africa. I was on a truck trip with about 10 of us, and one of them happened to be a doctor. And coincidentally, it was even funnier because she was the SOF at my university, and like I could pick her voice out of the middle of the dark African night. I was like, oh my gosh, I know who she is, right? Halfway around the world. Anyways, she had said to us, because we had all come at that particular time with all like the Imodium and things to, and the chlorinated water and, all this to protect us. And she had said, you know what? You are going to get exposed to things here. So just let your body get rid of it. 3 days of diarrhea, whatever it is. If it's past 3 days, then we'll worry about it. And pretty much everybody was like that. We just went, okay, so everybody got something at some point. You ate something, whatever the experience was, and you were clearing it out of your body. That's what diarrhea is there for, right? It's like to get it out of your system. And it was all done. And you avoided having to pop all this other stuff that everybody generally is prescribed to prevent the occurrence. but ideally your body wants to get rid of it.
Yes, yeah. This is, I like that story. I like that woman. Sounds like a good doctor.
Well, I don't know if you caught Mina. Mina, she kicked
just a little bit. Just now. Yeah.
Again, she's a medical doctor that has had transformation for herself to see, because, and there are many doctors that are waking up, but basically what I was going to ask you about the doctors is when your husband had this transformation that he could walk after 9 months and hike 33 kilometers, was like, it's huge. Right? It's really, really big. And your son, what were their comments regarding their...
Yeah, it was difficult because with my husband, the neurologists we've been through 8 neurologists, of which only the last one, which is number 8, and that's in 16 years, 8 neurologists over 16 years. Some of them were very quick. We saw one who was not even vaguely interested in hearing our side, said to my husband, I'm a doctor, you do what I tell you to do. I won't come to you. I won't try and fix my car myself. You're an engineer, you can fix my car, which also made us realize the man doesn't know what an engineer is. My husband's a mechanical engineer. And we didn't go back to that doctor whatsoever, ever. He just wasn't, and he added 3 or 4 more prescribed medications to my husband's script. So we didn't go back to him. So some of these neurologists were short-lived in our life, others were longer, but only this 8th one was open to our approach, which was looking at nutrition, looking at really high quality supplements that are natural, made from actual plants, looking at strength exercises in ways that release growth hormone, right, looking at the mindset, and coaching. And he in fact suggested, just before we left Neisner, he suggested that Johan do a kind of a brain exercise with occupational therapist and a voice therapist to help him with his voice and with his posture. So he was open-minded, but the others were mostly not interested. One tolerated what we were doing. The majority were openly saying, you can do it if you like, but it's not going to work. But it worked. The man managed that. And in fact, at the moment, he's down to 2. He's been diminishing his medication over the years. So he's down to 2 of the medications and currently experimenting with that, because he is now at that window where the medication isn't really helping anymore, because this is what happens. Because it doesn't really cure you. It just makes the body believe there's dopamine in the system. So, but the condition is not being addressed or cured. And then with my son, the specialist who was treating him for the infectious disease was really difficult for us to deal with. She was absolutely poisonous about anything complementary or alternative, including diet. And I mean, hospital food isn't even beginning to be healthy.
Right.
And she was really difficult. It was very difficult for him to keep his energy, because he did breath work and chakra work and visualization and a lot of the things that we were talking, and what the integrative medical doctor was helping him with in terms of releasing the emotions and the anger from his childhood. And being young, he had a learning problem, so he had loads and loads of anger that he had to process, and which we were adamant he needed to process before the valve operation took place, so that he could heal. Otherwise, he was just going to either take a long time to heal or have recurring situations, because our emotions that we don't express, the emotions we repress, our body will express as disease. In my husband's case, the emotions he repressed was he's showing who he is. He'd wear a mask because he was afraid of public ridicule. So his face has become mask-like from the disease. So by dealing with those emotions, his face becomes more supple. It's more elastic. And with our son also, he needed to deal with that anger. So the specialist was very anti that. Luckily, we were blessed with a surgeon who had to do the actual operation, who was not, wow, you're amazing, open-minded, but heard what we said and respected what we were doing and was okay with postponing the operation for 3 weeks, whereas the specialist had wanted the operation done within 3 days of him coming out of ICU. When his whole system was depleted, he'd burnt himself out, so his endocrine system was depleted, and she'd wanted this replacement of the mitral valve 3 days after he'd spent 7 days in intensive care. Yeah. So, yeah, varied, but they are, and the integrative medical doctor, he's got a center here in Plumstead in Cape Town. He was brilliant because he's medical, plus he's also incorporating complementary and alternative approaches, which include nutrition and counseling as well. So it's varied, depends on who you get, but we tend to not stay long. If we can avoid it in the hospital, he didn't have an option with a specialist. That's had to be his specialist. But if we have a choice in terms of medical doctors, we actually go and see them, decide if we like them. I've twice gone just to introduce myself to a medical doctor, to see what he is like, made the appointment, was willing to pay the money for the appointment. In both cases, they waived it, and they were very put out that I didn't want anything done. I just wanted to see who they are and what they look like and what their viewpoint is. Because you're trusting that they're going to co-create with you your health. Yeah. So do you want somebody who is on a different planet to you? Do you want somebody in the other paradigm? Or do you want somebody who, even if they can't fully agree with what you're doing, at least are allowing and not totally adamant that only what they do is valid? Because it's not. We have to take responsibility for our own health.
Yeah, and I think you are like this. You are the structure, Renette, for your husband and your son, right? You have that tenacity and conviction that it's natural, so you can stand there with them side by side. There are probably some people out there that would love to be able to say, you know what, I don't necessarily agree with you, I want to try something else, but they might not have the courage, or they may not have somebody in their corner. They may have the person that's quite the opposite, saying, of course you need to follow the doctor. So what type of sort of coaching would you give somebody that, you know, it's got some feeling inside that says, oh, I know this isn't quite right, it doesn't feel right for me, but I'm not sure I have the courage to change. What if I'm wrong?
The coaching I would suggest is where you actually hone your intuitive knowing. So it becomes using your inner guidance, acquiring the skill of connecting to your truth. Okay. And knowing what is true for you. And then choosing to create your health. So the action steps you take will be steps that support healing. A simple example is if you make your bed. Are you making your bed because you are brought up to believe that you're a bad person if your bed is untidy? Right. Or do you make your bed because it's conducive to your health to have a beautifully made bed that is a delight to lie down in, that can give you a restful and rejuvenating night's sleep? Mm-hmm. So you're still making your bed. You're still doing the same action. But the energy, the structure your energy is flowing in is not trying to fix that you're feeling bad, for instance, from if you don't make the bed and somebody came in and the bed was all topsy-turvy, you're going to be a bad person. Right. But the structure the energy is moving in is supporting your health. You're making that bed to support a brilliant night's sleep. So I coach people, and this goes beyond just health, but health is one of the absolute aspects, because our health is one of our most important assets. Without it, nothing else matters so much. It's really one of the most important things, and we sabotage it so easily. So I would guide them, and they would become skilled at learning to discern which structure their energy is moving in, which paradigm they're in. Are they creating what they would love? And are the action steps they're taking supporting their health? Or are they trying to, in fear? The other one's really basically fear, afraid of whatever is going to strike them down and trying to fix that.
Yeah.
The moment you start trying to fix something, you're in the energy that will ultimately pendulum swing for you.
Right.
And you're not in your own power of your truth.
Yeah, and I just got the thought that people that think that just if they're exercising and eating right, they're doing those actions, but a lot of them are doing those actions because they feel that's how they're going to stay away from the issue that's coming to get them, right? They're still in that, I got to do something to prevent it, versus saying, you know what, this is natural. Like, I like to go biking, or I like to skip through, or I like to go swimming because I'm having joy, and it's just a natural state that our body moves. They're two, again, like you said about the bed making. You're doing the same thing, but it's what is the ultimate intention behind it, right?
Yeah. So that is really where your focus is. That intention is your focus, and your focus creates your reality. And we often think that our focus is, in fact, whatever, but the real focus is that underlying fear, or that, and it depends on the paradigm you move in. Absolutely superbly excellent book that I have, and we've studied and keep rereading, is by Dr. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief.
Yes, very good one.
You got it, yeah. So he absolutely has scientifically proved that what your perceptions are and your feelings are affect your health. And that's where I work with people. I help them to discover, first of all, what's real, what they really are thinking and feeling, and where they're at, and then what is real also for them in terms of healthy, what being healthy looks like for them. And then taking them through that process where they learn to, until it becomes second nature, to be a creator, creating health, rather than somebody trying to prevent getting sick.
And I don't know if I one story that came to my mind was when a couple of years ago, I got this call. My daughter was in an ambulance, and I was like, "What do you mean she's in an ambulance? She's never really been to the doctor, right?" And she had been bitten by a dog, and so I was like, a police officer had come by, and he called the ambulance, and it's just, she's like, "Can I just go home?" But so I go to the hospital, and I'm feeling like, do I need to give her a tetanus shot because she was never vaccinated? So when you talk about trusting your guidance, I was standing there, getting in touch, going, do I, don't I? And I wasn't sure. And then I'm very sensitive to energy. So it was her arm. And so my arm starts to shake because it's like this, I'm shaking off the old energy. And the nurse comes up and she's like, "Oh, do you need something? Are you having anxiety?" and I was like, "No." And my arm is shaking, and we're waiting for them to decide what they're going to do about this bite. And they're, we're going to give you a prescription, and we're going to give you a shot. And then all of a sudden my arm stopped shaking, and I was like, I turned to my daughter, I go, "You're fine, you're healed, let's go." And we packed up and we went, and we get, phone calls saying, "You didn't get anything." And my daughter laughed. She goes, "I was the one that bitten. I was the one that was bitten, but you were the one that was deciding. You're healed, let's go."
Yeah, I love that story.
Her day, the bite had, I think in 2 days was completely healed. But yes. I see you and I are the cheerleading force. So do you help to support people in that cheerleading, in your coaching that need that extra? I need someone in my corner.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm obviously not a medical doctor.
Right.
So my coaching is more focused on your intrapersonal communication, your self-talk. Mm-hmm. So what you are telling yourself and where you're at and the effect that that has on your health, and also obviously your emotions. So, but that's really the core of healing, is when we start to own what we're feeling and then choose to change that feeling, joy, that ode to joy, start to choose to experience joy, then we start healing more than we're experiencing deep sadness or fear or the other things. And the thing is to experience all of that. I'm not saying be only joyful or be only happy. In fact, you'll make yourself sick if you try and just be one good feeling all the time, because you can't. We're whole beings. We've got a whole spectrum of feelings. But to know what you're feeling, to own what you're feeling, if you are being furious, to own that you are having a glorious fit of temper right now. To own those feelings and express them and choose then where you want your energy to go, what you want to focus on now. To not repress them because you think they're bad.
Right.
Because then they will fester.
Yes.
And the body will express. Our body, I see our body as a communication tool between our spirit and ourselves, which gives us feedback about where we are at in our life. But like the interface, like a plug is an interface in the wall for you to put your plug for your computer in or whatever.
Right.
Your phone charger. So our body is that interface. And what is going on in us is expressed through our body. I have these, I don't know if you can see them nicely, very crooked fingers. I had, since probably earlier, but definitely as a teenager, I was seriously irritated. Mm-hmm. And I was a very angry and irritated teenager. And for a lot of my adult life as well. Mm-hmm. And even now today, if I'm not careful, I can really get irritated like so. And anger and irritation, I did an advanced course with Dr. John DeMartini, and anger and irritation is one of the things that go and sit in your joints as arthritis. So our body expresses what we repress. Yes. And I guide people and help people to find those and to then resolve them or equilibrate them and to choose the health they would like to create, and then just keep moving towards being healthy, the end result of being healthy.
Focused on the vision of where they want to go in that correct paradigm. I am just noticing we have, so bravo. Okay, doctors need to earn our trust and not expect it. Okay, that's what Kate. And I think Cassie is saying that she contacted you, so thank you for the link that you sent her here.
Okay.
So this is great. I mean, this is a conversation that I believe just needs to continue because, and you know, I feel that the more we talk about it, it's like we're giving people permission to say, yes, you can question the doctors. You can step out, even if they tell you that it's the only doctor in the neighborhood, right? You're going to be on a wait list. When you actually stand in that space of saying, I'm not sure I believe you, or I want a second opinion, or I want a different test, or I'd like to think about it. You're allowing yourself that opportunity for another answer to come to you, you know? And that's what, it's that ability, just even if it's a pause. And really for me, that's how it was with my kids, is it was just a little moment by moment choices that I paused. And then I said, no, I'm going this way and I'm going this way. And then, you know, they were totally raised outside the system, just like your kids were.
Yes, no, my children, from my mother was a homeopathic and naturopathic doctor. She, from the age of 14, I have not used allopathic medicine. That's what doctors prescribe.
Right.
And Johan and I raised all three our children without doctors until they left home. They had only had natural remedies, mostly homeopathy. And our grandson, who is now 17, has also not had any allopathic medications or vaccinations. And this son of mine who's 41, this hospital event was the first time in his entire life that he had antibiotics. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you can be healthy. We are born to be healthy, but you can't be healthy if you do nothing.
Right.
And you can't be healthy if you're not prepared to participate in your own health.
Right.
So, and I think doctors have I would not have wanted our son to not have the medical assistance he did have, but I believe the two can work together. Yes. But ultimately, we have to remain the one in choosing to be healthy, choosing to take responsibility for our health, and working with, as you said, asking for a second opinion or whatever, or if you don't like the doctor,
get another.
Just make sure you can do whatever you can quietly. Our son in hospital actually had all his nutritional things tucked away in a little paper bag, and so that it wasn't out on the cabinet beside his bed because the specialist didn't like it. So, yeah, it's not easy to do that, but you have to do that if that is important. The other thing that is a problem is that there is a hugely confusing amount of things out there that people can do that are alternative and complementary. And it is not always easy for people to know which one to do or what to do. So there is that danger that there is, in the end, you're going for every single thing to try and, especially if you've been given a prognosis of something catastrophic or really not good, to try and grab at straws, so to speak.
Yes.
And that's where it's helpful if you go inside and connect with what is true for you and find what would be the right approach for you. And it might not be the same thing that it is for somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I have studied a huge number of different things, EFT and hypnotherapy, a lot of neuro-linguistic programming, you name it. I've done brain gym. I'm qualified in brain gym. In fact, I learned a lot of what I do know because it was of our son's learning problem, and they wanted him on Ritalin, and I absolutely refused. I kept maintaining that the problem is not the son, but the school.
Yes.
It's not a learning problem of his. It's how the school is presenting material to him and expecting him to respond. That's the problem. And as a result of his learning disability, because they said in his when he was about 8, he will probably have to leave school when he's 15. And he finished his final year at school and then went on to the Technikon and did electronic engineering and was the first student ever to be given a 100% mark for practical in digital systems. And I kept saying all his life he's a genius.
Yes.
But how he reads and how he writes were the things he was measured at. So I learned what I know in an effort to help that child get through school. So not everybody has had that schooling, but I'm happy to help people if they would love some help and to hold that space for them, help them hold that space and have that certainty and have that healing that they would love to create for themselves.
Well, I believe that just our conversation has already created that holding space for people to give them permission, whether they reach out and connect or not. It is a journey, but the first thing is to decide, right? Decide what structure, what paradigm you are following. Do you believe that your body is a natural organism to heal, or are you busy being afraid of something that's going to hurt it and create dis-ease or disorder? So once you make that decision, it's like the path becomes open, and as you follow your inner guidance, you're led to the right person and the right choices, and it feels good for you, and you can learn to trust it. And that's the most magnificent gift, because you then know your body is that barometer that says, yes, go this way, you know.
Yeah, our bodies know. Our heart knows. It's our head that gets in the way, but our head has language. So our head will always win the argument. Because it's the little chattering voices in the head. By the way, just as a final thing, Johanna had a heart attack 5 years ago. One of the side effects of his medication is that it affects the heart. I cannot state that that's why he had the heart attack, but he did have a heart attack. And the cardiologist prescribed 2 medications for him for the very rest of his life. One was a blood thinner, the other was cholesterol tablets. And he chose not to take them because he's now already on Parkinson's medication for the rest of his life. Now they want to give him more medication. So he didn't take that, which nearly gave the cardiologist a heart attack when he learned after 6 weeks that he wasn't taking the prescription. But we did intensify his vitamins and minerals that he was taking and the glyconutrients he was taking. And it's now 5 years down the line and he's fine and his heart is fine without those medications. Yeah. But I'm not saying drop your medications. I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, you're just sharing what has worked for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the gift, because as you share, a lot of people are like, really? They never knew. And, it, as I said, it's more natural for you and I to say, of course, that's what exists. But for so many others, they are still just unconsciously being robotic and following the system that says, you go to the doctor, follow what they say, don't question anything, just listen to, and we're saying, no, we're giving you permission to take your health back in your own hands and feel it for yourself, your own guidance, because it is truly, we know that it's natural to be your body to heal.
Yes. Yeah. Your body, if you touch your skin, your body knows how to heal it.
Yes, your body knows how to heal it. So trust it. I have to thank you, Renette, because when I first reached out to you, I had this feeling to reach out to you. I had zero idea, everybody. I had zero idea of her upbringing. I just had this vision that I wanted to bring balance back into the healthcare system globally, right? And as we started talking, and she shared with me that she was raised by a healer, right? A healer. Then it was just like, wow. Again, it opened up that door of trusting the intuition and following and believing. And she also helped me in the terms of, because I had this vision that was popping up, but I had this energy around me that still had to be cleared. And so I reached out to Renette and we did a quick little process within 30 minutes. And it was just like, I went back to a time when it was just before I was born and had to do with my mom and giving birth. And I cleared that. And then it was like, all right, let's start this global party and see. So trusting your intuition and look at the results. We're all here sharing, and it's just a beautiful event. So thank you, Renette, for being who you are and contributing the way you do in the world, because you are making a difference.
And thank you, Jacqueline. It's really, I'm absolutely so proud of you that you went ahead and did this. And it's a really amazing gift that you're giving the world through having this solstice party, health party. I just suddenly was trying to think, I'm Afrikaans, so I was trying to think what the solstice is in English. Here we are, our longest night has already begun and you're having your longest day. So well done you for having done in that consultation, gone really deep and found that trigger that had you self-sabotaging and holding back every time. And look at what you've created. Well done. And thank you for inviting me to participate. I really appreciate it.
Well, this was a splendid one. I hope everybody gets a chance to watch it. And I look forward to doing much more with you. So thank you. Thank you. Mwah! I love you.
Thank you. And thanks, Jacqueline. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.